Aang vs. Korra has been a long-held debate for the ages, and finally, after teasing it for months upon months, here I am. Remember to listen to more of the things that I say and why I say them, rather than who wins the overall versus battle. Listen to comprehend rather than to reply in the comments, and my Discord tag, server, Cash App, and TikTok will be in the description and comments down below. And lastly, enjoy. Aang, being the youngest known avatar, grew up as essentially an airbending prodigy, becoming an airbending master before the age of 12, but how would this all fare up against the likes of Korra? Aang in the avatar state has the skills, knowledge, power, and energy of all the past lives, which should include the likes of Kyoshi, who has a small country level feat. He also draws upon the power of the cosmic energy of the universe, as stated within the Kyoshi novels, and by Guru Pathink when Aang is connecting to his cosmic self. From books 1 to 2, Korra has the ability to connect with her past lives, and has become a fully realized avatar, drawing upon the power of Kyoshi, Aang, and other avatars, but as said in the scans, she cannot grasp the depth of her spiritual powers, cannot connect with her past lives, and hasn't connected with her cosmic self. This means that Korra cannot be scaled to any avatar based upon their powers prior to using her past lives. However, I'll explain why this is wrong during the Korra section of the video. One may argue that after she loses the likes of her past lives, she's able to connect with her cosmic self, transforming herself into Cosmic Korra and fighting against the likes of Unavatsu. The only scaling this form would have would be scaling off into a full power Vatsu, who has no quantifiable strength close to small country level or speed close to the likes of Mach 1400. This is also the Atman statement people try and use to justify it, but you can dismiss it via the death of the author. However, again, this would be not true due to numerous reasons. Korra also doesn't have connection with her past lives, but connects to Rava, who only scales to Vatsu, who scales nowhere near relative to the likes of small country level or nearly massively hypersonic. She also implies within the Korra Chronicle that the next avatar would be weaker than they would have been if Korra didn't ruin the avatar cycle as well as avatar state, further supporting the idea that Rava, the only avatar state, is weak compared to the past lives, and the Rava put it together. Toph also says that Korra is the worst avatar she's ever worked with based upon combat prowess, and she would be basing this off what she's seen within Aang and Korra. However, note that this is a mentally drained and weakened Korra and nowhere near her aforementioned power. We also know that Toph sees everything around the world, so any feat Korra has done, Toph has seen and thinks that this version of Korra is bad compared to the likes of Aang. However, once again, she has not seen Korra at her full power and was further weakened by the liquid iron poison within her blood system. Aang also reaches the full state of Atman, in which he gains the full power of each form of power, such as cosmic energy, the energy of the past lives, which are in turn unquantifiable, and finally the likes of Rava. However, this isn't the full power of Rava, so again, this wouldn't matter. Also note that Rava is the link to the past lives and is the sole reason they exist in the first place. Aang also has the ability to restore and reduct the likes of bending abilities on an almost entirely spiritual level, which is seen against the likes of Ozai during Sozin's Comet, and finally in Korra, where he restores Korra's bending ability after Ramon takes it away from her. Aang also would have the strength of all of his past lives, as I said prior, including the likes of Kyoshi and Roku, so again, take this how you will. Aang also has a far better grasp on his spiritual power and connections, as seen when he's blatantly able to almost astral project to Avatar Yang Chen and talk to the likes of Avatar Roku in the beginning seasons of Avatar The Last Airbender. Lastly, Aang is able to control elements on such a level, as seen in Book 1 after Tui is killed and Aang goes on a rampage. However, Korra would then be able to replicate this feat on a much higher level in the final arc of her respective series. Korra, who was the last known avatar within the quote-unquote previous generation of the avatars, alongside the likes of Aang, Roku, and Kyoshi, is a powerhouse in her own right and might even be the strongest avatar in the franchise so far. But is this truly the case? It's directly stated within the back of the comic volume cover that the avatar state is a peak of an avatar's power, and when they reach this state, they also gain the full power and mastery of their past lives as well. This would mean that Korra would then have gained the power of Aang, Kyoshi, Yang Chen, and Roku, and every other avatar prior to her losing her past lives. When Korra, however, does lose her past lives, nothing would really change, as the past lives are completely unquantifiable in power and strength. But not only that, there's nothing implying that she would get weaker, and if anything, Aang in his avatar state versus Korra within her avatar state Korra would logically win via the aforementioned scaling and reasoning I said prior. This is further supported as within the novels it's directly stated that Rava is the entire reason as to why the Avatar cycle exists and is the main source of power for the Avatar state, meaning both cosmic energy and the past lives would be nothing in comparison to the power of that of Rava herself. Some arguments I've heard against this, thus arguing for the position of Aang, is after Korra sees Wan's memories, she says that she cannot beat the likes of Vatsu after seeing Wan beat him up, meaning a season 2 Korra would be weaker than the Wan, so it would go Wan over Prime Vatsu over Korra. This goes back to Aang, seeing how it would state that Aang has Wan's power plus 1,000 other avatars and his own. So Aang would be above the likes of Wan, who would be above the likes of Vatsu, who would also be above the likes of Korra. However, this wouldn't be the case, as I said prior, due to the fact that her statement would just be wrong, seeing how just like Aang, she also has the power of all the past lives prior to her losing them, meaning yes, she will logically be stronger than the likes of Wan, just like Aang would be. Other arguments that I've heard in favor of Aang is that Korra being Vatsu after this and almost stealing him away doesn't apply here, since Vatsu that fights Korra is weaker than the Vatsu that fights against Wan, meaning Korra's statement wouldn't apply to Vatsu she fought. We know that he's weaker since Rava has grown since the time of Wan, however, this wouldn't prove how Wan or why Vatsu is weaker, and the narrative wouldn't kinda imply that they're the same strength, especially if one argues dualism. However, that's a topic for its own video. Korra also outscales every other avatar via Rava being at her strongest compared to the other avatars. The notion that somehow Korra's avatar state got weaker because she lost the likes of the past lives is disingenuous and an assumption with no feats or statements backing it up, considering the show, comics, and novels never implies or states that Korra has a weakened avatar state ever since she lost the likes of her past lives. To say this is again disingenuous and an assumptions with no feats or statements backing it up from any source of the said franchise. Korra also implies multiple times that she has another stronger avatar state. Korra through various and multiple statements from Zahir and Korra herself and other feats. We also see that this is a direct correlation between Rava losing strength and size and the likes of her past lives disappearing, which would have to make it true for the opposite, the past lives amping Rava, since we saw the growth from Wan's era to when she was small as a teapot to during the fight with Unalaq where she's bigger than Korra or about her size. We also know that Korra's letter to the next avatar isn't in the context of power, but however in the context of guidance and wisdom like all the other avatars have gotten since the time of Wan, and that the next avatar won't have any other avatar but Korra to seek guidance from once his time comes along, not that he would be any weaker. Her fight with Unalaq is a great example of this. While having the past lives and Unalaq having no past lives, we see that they are somewhat relative with each other in strength, and when they lock water arms and try to overpower each other, Unalaq is holding back. However, since his goal isn't to destroy Korra necessarily, but Rava herself, since he was stated that he wants to be the only true avatar. The only way that he'd be able to accomplish this feat and or goal is to kill Korra within her avatar state, which isn't efficient since she goes in and out of the avatar state herself. However, in order to prevent that from happening or destroy Rava separately, which he did, this is also further supported by him stating that he would back for Korra to Eska and Desna while she was captured before the harmonic convergence, considering that he would just have killed Korra as her size correlate with their strength, and we know this to be the case during the fight with Vatsu. She was much bigger than Rava. The other avatar states amping all physical abilities as shown by feats, an example of this being Korra not being able to break free from the platinum chains until she enters her avatar state. Others being Korra struggling to break free from the platinum chains until she enters her avatar state, as I said prior. Korra not being able to blitz like Vatsu until she enters the avatar state. Korra not being able to blitz hunt Dune until she's able to replicate the avatar state. Her durability is also amped via statement from Zahir in regards to the avatar state keeping Korra alive when she was poisoned. Korra would simply have more than just an elemental power on the likes of Aang. Any argument for Aang in the avatar state would simply help Korra via statements of her having his power as well as the other avatars, which are accumulative as stated in the Yang Chen novels. Her Atman state can be scaled to her cosmic self, which is needed to amp the other avatar states as well. The argument against her having these skills has no basis other than her losing her past connections to her past lives, when in fact her losing the past connection to her past avatar lives has only been stated to have an impact on the wisdom she gets from them, which are non-combative as I said prior. The skills, for example, being taking or giving bending, which is confirmed by Korra to be an avatar state ability, which confirms that the past avatar has used it. She also implies that all avatars have the ability, which confirms that Avatar Wan was able to do it, and confirmed that she can still do it. and has stated that the next avatar can do it as well, which would only further support it being reattained. Furthermore, an argument suggesting that she could not do the elemental spirit, which is a lot of Aang fans suggest as well, would be debunked since she was able to do it in the avatar state against Hundun after book 2. There is also a direct Twitter statement from the creators which was given by a third party, so take this how you will. I wouldn't have any problems if you were to question the validity of this, but as a side note, according to it, the creators say that her losing her past lives did not affect the strength of the avatar state. If you choose to take this statement hyper literally, this will debunk the main argument as to why Aang is above the likes of Korra, with the main argument being that Korra doesn't have the connection to her past avatar lives, therefore Aang beats her. However, as I've proven prior within the video as to why this interpretation of the avatar state was and is disingenuous, since there is a scene where Korra has the connection to her past avatar lives and Unalaq doesn't, they are seen to be somewhat relative to each other regardless. There is also nothing proving Korra is holding back, but Unalaq would be, since his main goal isn't to kill Korra, but to destroy the likes of Rava instead. The Korra we see in the final battle against the likes of Vatsu in the city would scale massively above every single avatar before her, and this is why. We already know that the peak of an avatar's power is a direct component of their said avatar state. The prerequisite to the avatar state itself is in turn the likes of Rava. We also know that the only two characters in the series to have the full power of Rava will be that of not only Wan, but Korra. We know that they have a higher portion of Rava's power due to Rava's symbol on their respective bodies. Even prior to this, Korra is able to seal Vatsu in a weaker form, but somehow is supposed to be comparable if not equal to Rava from a narrative standpoint. It's also directly stated by the likes of Wan and shown that when Rava and Wan fuse, that is when he's able to go within the avatar state, which would further prove as to why Rava would be the biggest portion of the avatar state if we include the likes of the cosmic energy and or the past lives, which are a direct prerequisite from Rava. If anything, the past lives would be another form of Rava's power, as is directly stated within the very light novel that Rava, as I said prior, is the entire reason for why the past lives exist in the first place. So with all of the evidence that is gathered, in my personal opinion, I believe that Korra does beat the living life out of Aang. However, I'll leave this up to you and let you decide who you think wins for yourself and the overall versus battle. But 1K, I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to every single person who has been here and supported me. And before I end up the video, I just wanted to give a shout out to Toaster XD, Captain, Jordan, Mr. Crafty Scales, Auden, Thunder God, Outlaw Truth, and again, lastly, all of Pandemonia. Thank you to everyone, and I will be eternally grateful for everything you guys have done for me. And yeah. However, it has been Tempest. All the links to my Discord tag and server, as well as TikTok, Cash App, and again, everything else will be in the description and comments down below, as well as the YouTube links to everyone I just mentioned. However, make sure to have a nice rest of your day, make sure to stay safe, and once again, thank you all for everything. Until next time, bye.